The 25 Most Amazing Paintings by Pablo Picasso. Number 25. Science and Charity. 1897. Science and Charity, painted in 1897 when Pablo Picasso was only 15 years old, is an early work that demonstrates his extraordinary talent and technical mastery from a very young age. The painting is in a realist style and reflects the academic influences he received during his training in Barcelona and Madrid. The scene depicts the interior of a room where a sick woman lies in bed, attended to by a doctor taking her pulse and a nun holding a child in her arms. The composition balances the elements of science and religion, symbolized by the doctor and the nun, respectively, highlighting the duality of approaches to caring for the sick at that time. Picasso pays great attention to detail. Facial expressions, hands, and objects in the room are meticulously rendered. Focused lighting highlights the main characters and creates a dramatic and emotional atmosphere. The work shows a maturity unusual in such a young artist and reflects his ability to approach serious and complex subjects with sensitivity. Science and Charity was exhibited and received recognition, cementing Picasso's reputation as a prodigy. Although he would later move away from this academic style, the painting is significant for showing the foundations of his artistic development and his ability to handle different techniques and subjects. The work also offers insight into the social and ethical concerns of the time, themes that Picasso would continue to explore throughout his career, albeit from more innovative perspectives. Number 24. Seated Woman, 1909. In Seated Woman, painted in 1909, Pablo Picasso furthers his exploration of analytical cubism. The work depicts a seated woman, possibly Fernande Olivier, his partner at the time and a constant source of inspiration during this period of intense artistic experimentation. The figure is broken down and reorganized into a series of geometric planes and interconnected facets that defy traditional conventions of representation. The color palette is restrained, dominated by earth tones and grays, allowing the focus to be on structure and form. Different perspectives merge, and the boundaries between subject and environment are blurred. Picasso seeks to depict not only the woman's outward appearance, but also to capture her essence from multiple angles and moments in time. The work reflects Picasso's desire to break away from artistic conventions and find new forms of expression. By fragmenting the figure and reconfiguring it on the canvas, he challenges the viewer's perception and invites them to actively participate in reconstructing the image. Seated Woman is a testament to his ability to transform the representation of reality and expand the boundaries of artistic expression. Number 23. Woman with Flower, 1932. In 1932, the year in which Pablo Picasso produced some of his most iconic works, he created Woman with Flower, a painting inspired by Marie-Thérèse Walter, his lover and muse at the time. The work is a celebration of femininity and vitality, depicting Marie-Thérèse with exaggerated features and curvilinear forms that accentuate her sensuality and magnetic presence. The use of color is bold and vibrant, with shades of pink, yellow, green, and blue bringing energy and joy to the composition. The woman is holding a flower, a symbol of beauty, love, and renewal, which adds a poetic and romantic element to the work. Picasso employs fluid lines and organic forms, fusing figurative and abstract elements into a visual harmony that reflects his constant experimentation. Woman with Flower reflects the positive influence Marie-Thérèse had on Picasso's life, marking a period of creativity and happiness. The work is an exploration of identity and perception, as the artist distorts and reinterprets his muse's features to capture her essence beyond physical appearance. The combination of soft shapes and luminous colors creates a dreamlike atmosphere that envelops the viewer. Number 22. The Frugal Banquet, 1904. The Frugal Banquet, created in 1904, is one of Pablo Picasso's most notable graphic works and belongs to his Saltimbanqui series. This etching and dry-point print is a somber depiction of a couple sitting at a nearly empty table, reflecting themes of poverty, loneliness, and isolation that characterize the end of his blue period and the transition to the rose period. The figures are elongated and melancholic, with expressions that convey hopelessness and resignation. The woman and man, possibly circus performers, are immersed in their own thoughts, adding a layer of introspection to the scene. The composition is simple but powerful, focusing on the silent interaction between the two characters and the scarcity that surrounds them. The use of fine lines and subtle shadows creates an atmosphere of depth and emotionality. The Frugal Banquet is significant for its technical excellence and its ability to evoke deep emotions. The work shows Picasso's mastery of printmaking and his ability to address social and human issues with sensitivity and empathy. Furthermore, this piece is key in Picasso's artistic evolution, as it marks the transition into his Rose period, where he begins to explore new themes and warmer, more optimistic styles. The Frugal Banquet has been widely studied and admired, not only for its artistic value, but also for its representation of the social conditions of the time and its reflection of the artist's personal experiences. Number 21. The Blind Man's Meal, 1903. In 1903, during his introspective and emotional blue period, Pablo Picasso painted The Blind Man's Meal, a work that captures the essence of human sadness and loneliness. The painting shows a blind man sitting at a simple table, holding a piece of bread and a jug of wine. The dominant blue tones accentuate the melancholic atmosphere and reflect the emotional state of the subject and the artist himself at the time. The man is depicted with extreme thinness, symbolizing poverty and fragility. His closed eyes and pensive expression invite the viewer to empathize with his situation of isolation and vulnerability. The simplicity of the composition and the lack of detail in the background focus attention on the individual and his condition, highlighting themes of desolation and need. The Blind Man's Meal is a profound reflection on the human condition and the difficulties of those marginalized in society. Picasso, influenced by personal experiences and the social realities he observed in Barcelona and Paris, uses this work to express compassion and solidarity with the disadvantaged. The painting conveys a sincere emotionality that resonates with the viewer, inviting them to consider issues of injustice and humanity. Number 20. Family of Acrobats with Monkey, 1905. In 1905, during his Rose period, Pablo Picasso created Family of Acrobats with Monkey, a work that reflects his fascination with the world of the circus and traveling performers. The painting depicts a family of acrobats composed of a father, a mother, their son, and a monkey, captured in a moment of stillness that contrasts with the usual energy of their performances. The characters are immersed in an atmosphere of melancholy and isolation, recurring themes in Picasso's work from this period. Pink and warm tones dominate the color palette, providing a soft and emotional atmosphere. Picasso uses delicate lines and elongated shapes to emphasize the fragility and vulnerability of the subjects. The monkey, placed next to the child, adds an element of innocence and connection to nature, but can also symbolize the marginal status of circus performers in society. The painting explores human relationships and the loneliness behind the public life of artists. Through this work, Picasso shows empathy towards those who live on the margins, reflecting his own sense of alienation in Paris. Number 19. Massacre in Korea, 1951. Massacre in Korea, painted in 1951, is one of Pablo Picasso's most forceful and politically charged works. The painting is a visceral protest against the Korean War and a denunciation of the atrocities committed against innocent civilians. Inspired by Francisco de Goya's The Shootings of the 3rd of May, the work depicts a group of naked, unarmed women and children facing anonymous, menacing soldiers. The soldiers are depicted as robotic, dehumanized figures, with helmets and weapons obscuring their faces, symbolizing the impersonality of the war machine. In contrast, the civilian figures are full of expressiveness and vulnerability, highlighting their humanity and the injustice of their situation. Picasso uses cool colors and dramatic composition to heighten the emotional impact of the scene. The work reflects Picasso's commitment to pacifism and his opposition to violence and oppression. Massacre in Korea is significant for its evocative power and continued relevance as a social commentary. The painting serves as a reminder of the horrors of war and the need to defend human dignity and rights. Number 18. Nude, Green Leaves and Bust, 1932. In 1932, Pablo Picasso created Nude, Green Leaves and Bust, one of his most sensual and celebrated works, depicting his lover and muse Marie-Thérèse Walter. The painting is an exuberant display of color and form, where Marie-Thérèse appears reclining in a relaxed and natural pose, surrounded by green leaves and accompanied by a sculpted bust that also represents her image. The color palette is vibrant and luminous, with shades of pink, lilac, yellow and green that provide a dreamy and erotic atmosphere. Picasso fuses elements of painting and sculpture, playing with dimensions and perspectives to create a dynamic composition. Voluptuous curves and fluid lines emphasize the sensuality and vitality of the female figure. Number 17. Woman with a Hat and Fur Collar, 1937. In Woman with a Hat and Fur Collar, painted in 1937, Pablo Picasso portrays Dora Maar, his lover and muse for much of the 1930s. The work is a prime example of his Cubist and Expressionist style, where Dora's figure is depicted with angular, fragmented forms that convey emotional and psychological complexity. The painting shows Dora seated, wearing an extravagant hat and a coat with a fur collar. Vibrant, contrasting colors, such as reds, greens, and yellows, bring energy and dynamism to the composition. Picasso uses distortion and overlapping perspectives to explore the multiple facets of Dora's personality and the intensity of their relationship. The work reflects the tensions and passions of their relationship, as well as the impact of political events of the time, such as the Spanish Civil War. The portrait is one of the most powerful depictions of Dora Maar and highlights Picasso's ability to fuse the personal with the universal in his art. Number 16. Life, 1903. La Vie, painted in 1903 during Picasso's melancholic blue period, is one of his most enigmatic and profound works. The painting depicts two couples in a somber setting. A naked couple faces a clothed couple, where the woman holds a baby. Behind them, sketched figures can be seen that seem to symbolize different stages or experiences in life. The palette, dominated by blue tones, intensifies the atmosphere of sadness and contemplation. The naked man is believed to be a representation of Carlos Casagemas, a close friend of Picasso who committed suicide in 1901, an event that deeply affected the artist. The work explores themes such as love, death, motherhood, and the cycle of life, reflecting Picasso's existential concerns at the time. The painting invites the viewer to interpret hidden relationships and meanings, offering an introspective view of the human condition. It is one of the most representative works of the Blue period and demonstrates Picasso's ability to approach universal themes with depth and sensitivity. Number 15. The Bull, 1945. In 1945, Pablo Picasso created a series of 11 lithographs entitled The Bull, which constitute an exhaustive study of the simplification and abstraction of form. Through this series, Picasso transforms the image of a bull from a realistic representation to a minimalist synthesis, gradually reducing details and lines until he captures the essence of the animal with just a few strokes. The series is a masterful example of the creative process and the exploration of form and concept. Picasso begins with a detailed image that shows the strength and physical presence of the bull. With each lithograph, he simplifies the figure, eliminating unnecessary elements and focusing on the essential lines that define its character. The series demonstrates how the essence of a subject can be communicated with economy of means, and reflects Picasso's mastery in the manipulation of forms and concepts. This work is a fundamental reference for artists and scholars interested in the simplification process and symbolic representation. Number 14. The Kiss, 1969. The Kiss, painted in 1969, is one of Pablo Picasso's last major works and reflects the vitality and passion that he maintained until the end of his life. The painting shows a couple in a passionate kiss, depicted with thick strokes and exaggerated shapes that convey intensity and raw emotion. The work stands out for its expressiveness and almost primitive style. Picasso uses vibrant and contrasting colors, such as reds, blues, and yellows, to emphasize the energy of the scene. The figures are fused in an intimate embrace, defying anatomical proportions and creating an image that is both sensual and abstract. Picasso continued to explore new forms of expression while maintaining a bold and unrestricted approach. The work is a testament to his inexhaustible creativity and ability to capture universal emotions. Number 13. Harlequin with Guitar, 1918. In Harlequin with Guitar, painted in 1918, Pablo Picasso returns to the figure of the harlequin, a character that appears recurrently in his work and that symbolizes duality and artistic identity. The painting shows a seated harlequin playing a guitar, depicted in a style that combines classical and cubist elements. The color palette is soft, with pastel tones that provide an atmosphere of serenity. Picasso uses clear lines and geometric shapes to structure the composition, while the harlequin's diamond-patterned costume adds a visually appealing and symbolic element. The guitar represents the connection between visual arts and music, and can be interpreted as a metaphor for harmony and creativity. The figure of the harlequin serves as Picasso's alter ego, reflecting his own experiences and feelings. The work is an example of how the artist fuses different styles and themes to create images that are both personal and universal. Number 12. Dora Maar with Cat, 1941. Dora Maar with Cat, painted in 1941, is one of Pablo Picasso's most iconic portraits of Dora Maar. The work captures the emotional and psychological complexity of Dora, who was his lover and muse, as well as a leading surrealist artist. The portrait combines realism and abstraction, using distortions and multiple perspectives to delve deeper into her character. In the painting, Dora is seated in a chair with a small cat on her shoulders. Her face and body are fragmented and distorted, reflecting the tensions and passions of her relationship with Picasso. The intense, contrasting colors bring drama and energy to the composition. The cat adds an element of mystery and may symbolize the independence and enigma associated with Dora. Dora Maar with cat is a portrait that goes beyond physical appearance to explore the emotions and psychology of the subject. The painting is one of Picasso's most valuable and recognized, and highlights his ability to fuse the personal with the universal in his art. Number 11. The Pipes of Pan, 1923. In 1923, Pablo Picasso created The Pipes of Pan, a work that reflects his interest in classical mythology and his exploration of the neoclassical style after World War I. The painting depicts two young men sitting in a pastoral landscape, one playing the pan flute and the other listening, immersed in an atmosphere of harmony and contemplation. Picasso uses soft lines and balanced forms to create a serene and elegant composition. The color palette is warm and luminous, with earthy tones and blues that provide depth and enhance the tranquil atmosphere. The influence of Greek and Roman sculpture is evident in the proportions and postures of the figures. The music acts as a bridge between the characters and the environment, symbolizing universal harmony. The work is significant for its combination of classical tradition and modern sensibility, demonstrating Picasso's versatility and ability to reinvent styles and themes. Number 10. The Family of Acrobats, 1905. In 1905, during his evocative Rose period, Pablo Picasso created The Family of Acrobats, a work that captures the introspective and melancholic life of traveling artists. The painting shows a group of acrobats and circus performers in a desolate landscape, removed from the hustle and bustle of the show. Among them are a strong man, a female acrobat, and a child, possibly reflecting a family united by their craft and social isolation. Pink and orange tones dominate the palette, bringing warmth and a dreamlike atmosphere. However, the facial expressions and postures of the characters convey a deep loneliness and disconnection. Picasso uses soft lines and elongated shapes to emphasize the fragility and elegance of the figures, while the empty background reinforces the sense of isolation. The acrobats represent those who live on the fringes of society, a metaphor for the artist as an outside observer. The Family of Acrobats explores universal themes such as the search for identity, loneliness, and the need for human connection. This painting marks a crucial point in Picasso's artistic evolution, showcasing his ability to combine aesthetic beauty with emotional depth. The painting invites the viewer to empathize with the characters and reflect on the realities behind appearances, highlighting the shared humanity among all. Number 9. Self-Portrait, 1901. In 1901, at the young age of 19, Pablo Picasso painted a self-portrait that is a window into his emotional and artistic state at the beginning of his Blue period. In this self-portrait, the artist depicts himself with elongated features, an intense, melancholic gaze, and enveloped in deep blue tones that dominate the composition. The use of blue is not just aesthetic, it symbolizes the sadness, loneliness, and introspection that characterized this period of his life. The brushwork is loose but deliberate, providing a texture that adds depth to the portrait. The dark, penetrating eyes reflect a maturity and emotional charge that transcend his youth. This self-portrait was painted after the suicide of his close friend, Carlos Casagemas, an event that deeply impacted Picasso and influenced his work for several years. The painting is significant because it not only shows his technical skill, but also his ability to express complex emotions through art. It represents a transitional moment in his career, where he begins to explore deeper, more personal themes. This self-portrait is a statement of identity and an exploration of his own psyche, laying the groundwork for the innovations that would define his artistic legacy. Number 8. The Dream, 1932. The Dream, painted in 1932, is one of Pablo Picasso's most celebrated and sensual works, capturing his lover and muse Marie-Thérèse Walter in a moment of quiet introspection. The painting shows Marie-Thérèse asleep in an armchair, her head tilted back and her hands resting in her lap. Her face and body are depicted with curved lines and simplified shapes, fusing realism with surrealism. The color palette is vibrant and bold, dominated by reds, yellows, and greens that bring an energy and vitality to the scene. Picasso uses color contrasts and overlapping shapes to create a dynamic and harmonious composition. The depiction of Marie-Thérèse is both innocent and erotic, reflecting the complexity of their relationship and the profound influence she had on his life and work. The figure's relaxed posture suggests vulnerability and confidence, while the abstract shapes and intense colors invite the viewer to immerse themselves in the artist's inner world. The work is also known for its bold composition, which some interpret as an example of the hidden messages and symbolism that Picasso incorporated into his art. This painting is a testament to Picasso's inexhaustible creativity and his ability to combine emotion, technique, and innovation. The Dream remains one of the most admired and studied works, appreciated for its beauty and its ability to evoke deep emotions. Number 7. The Blue Room, 1901. In The Blue Room, painted in 1901, Pablo Picasso offers an intimate look at everyday life during his Blue period. The work shows the modest interior of a room where a naked woman is bathing, surrounded by simple elements such as an unmade bed, a chair, and a table with flowers. Blue tones dominate the scene, creating an atmosphere of tranquility and melancholy. The painting is notable for its detail and careful composition. Picasso uses soft brushstrokes and subtle lighting to enhance the textures and shapes within the room. The woman, though central to the scene, appears integrated into the surroundings, suggesting a harmony between the individual and their personal space. The intimacy of the scene invites the viewer to contemplate the beauty in the everyday and the serenity in simplicity. The work reflects the Impressionist and Post-Impressionist influences on the young Picasso, while also showing his growing interest in depicting emotions and moods. This painting is an early example of his ability to combine technique and feeling, laying the groundwork for his later artistic developments. Number 6. Three Musicians, 1921. The Three Musicians, painted in 1921, is one of Pablo Picasso's masterpieces that exemplifies synthetic cubism at its finest. The painting depicts three figures dressed as a harlequin, Pierrot, and monk, playing musical instruments in a complex and colorful composition. At first glance, the work appears almost abstract, but closer observation reveals the recognizable figures and elements. Picasso uses flat, overlapping geometric shapes to construct the scene, playing with perspective and space. The colors are vibrant and contrasting, with shades of blue, red, yellow, and brown providing energy and dynamism. The lack of depth and juxtaposition of shapes create a collage-like feel, which was a distinctive feature of synthetic cubism. The characters depicted can be interpreted as alter egos of the artist and his friends, symbolizing collaboration and creativity. Three Musicians is also an exploration of the relationship between form and content, challenging traditional conventions of representation and perception. This painting is one of Picasso's most recognized and studied, highlighting his genius for combining conceptual complexity with visual appeal. Three Musicians continues to inspire artists and viewers alike, demonstrating the enduring power of Cubism and the artist's boundless imagination. Number 5. The Old Guitarist, 1903–1904. The Old Guitarist, created between 1903 and 1904 during Picasso's Blue period, is a work that encapsulates the deep melancholy and compassion that characterize this stage of his career. The painting depicts an elderly street musician, hunched over his guitar, with his eyes closed and an expression of pain and isolation. Monochromatic blue tones intensify the atmosphere of sadness and emphasize the fragility of the subject. The figure of the guitarist is elongated and exaggerated, reflecting influences of expressionism and providing an almost ghostly quality. The guitar, in contrast to the rest of the palette, stands out in brown tones and symbolizes the connection between the musician and his art, possibly his only source of solace. Picasso explores themes of poverty, isolation, and human struggle, reflecting his own experiences and observations of life on the streets of Barcelona and Paris. This painting is considered one of the most iconic of the Blue period and demonstrates Picasso's ability to combine technique, emotion, and social message in his art. Number 4. Woman in Front of the Mirror, 1932. In Woman in Front of the Mirror, painted in 1932, Pablo Picasso presents one of his most iconic and symbolically charged works, again inspired by his muse Marie-Thérèse Walter. The painting shows a young woman looking at her reflection in a mirror, but the reflection is a distorted and darker version of herself. The composition is filled with curved shapes, geometric patterns, and vibrant colors that provide depth and meaning. Picasso explores themes of identity, self-image, and duality. The contrast between the real figure and its reflection suggests an introspection on how we see ourselves versus how we really are or how others perceive us. The abstract shapes and the overlapping of elements add complexity, inviting the viewer to interpret multiple layers of meaning. The color palette is rich and varied, with reds, yellows, greens, and purples creating a captivating visual effect. The use of cubism and surrealism allows Picasso to challenge conventions and depict emotions and abstract concepts in a visually striking manner. The work is a reflection of Picasso's personal relationship with Marie-Thérèse and his ongoing exploration of the female form and the human psyche. This painting continues to be an object of study and admiration, highlighting the artist's ability to combine aesthetic beauty with emotional and conceptual content. Number 3. The Weeping Woman, 1937. The Weeping Woman, created in 1937, is one of Pablo Picasso's most emotional and powerful works, and is closely related to his monumental Guernica. The painting depicts Dora Maar, his lover and muse, in a state of extreme distress, her face distorted by pain and tears. The intense colors and angular shapes intensify the sense of despair and tragedy. The work is a direct response to the horrors of the Spanish Civil War and the bombing of Guernica. Through the figure of the crying woman, Picasso personifies the suffering and injustice inflicted on the innocent. The distortion of the facial features and the fragmentation of the image reflect the chaos and destruction of war. Picasso uses a contrasting color palette, including reds, yellows, and blues, which bring dynamism and drama to the composition. Details such as the diamond-shaped teardrops and clenched hands add emotional depth and symbolism. The work highlights Picasso's ability to use art as a means of protest and expression of solidarity with the victims of war. This painting is considered one of the most intense and moving portraits of the 20th century, and remains relevant as a universal symbol of human suffering. Number 2. The Young Ladies of Avignon, 1907. The Young Ladies of Avignon, painted in 1907, is one of Pablo Picasso's most revolutionary works and a milestone in the history of modern art. The painting depicts 5 naked women in a brothel on Avignon Street in Barcelona, but far from a traditional representation, Picasso breaks with all established conventions. The figures are fragmented and distorted, with influences from African and early Iberian art, challenging perspective and classical beauty. The composition is aggressive and direct. The women look at the viewer without shame, creating an uncomfortable confrontation. Picasso uses sharp geometric shapes and superimposed planes, laying the foundations of Cubism. The faces of the figures on the right are inspired by African masks, reflecting his interest in non-Western art and his search for new expressions. The color palette is earthy, with shades of pink, brown, and blue that provide depth and volume. The lack of traditional perspective and the distortion of forms create a sense of flat and fragmented space. The work challenged aesthetic norms and opened up new possibilities for the representation of reality. Although it was initially received with bewilderment and rejection, over time it has been recognized as one of the most influential paintings of the 20th century. This work marks the beginning of Cubism and reflects Picasso's audacity and genius in his constant search to break barriers and reinvent artistic language. Number 1. Guernica, 1937. Guernica, painted in 1937, is indisputably Pablo Picasso's most iconic and powerful work. Created in response to the bombing of the Basque town of Guernica by German and Italian planes during the Spanish Civil War, the painting is a monumental black and white mural measuring over 7 meters long and 3.5 meters high. Guernica is a visceral denunciation of violence, war, and human suffering. The composition is chaotic and full of symbols: a bull, a dying horse, screaming women, a mother with her dead child, a fallen soldier, and an eye-shaped light illuminating the scene. Picasso uses a combination of Cubist and Expressionist styles to fragment the figures and convey horror and despair. The absence of color intensifies the dramatic atmosphere and universalizes the message. The work is rich in symbolism and has been the subject of countless interpretations. The bull can represent brutality and darkness, while the horse symbolizes innocent victims. The eye-shaped lamp can be seen as a representation of truth or conscience. Picasso left the interpretation open, allowing Guernica to resonate with different audiences and contexts. The painting became a powerful anti-war symbol and a call to reflection on the atrocities of war. It has been exhibited around the world and continues to be a reminder of the devastating consequences of armed conflict. The creation of Guernica cemented Picasso as an artist committed to and aware of his role in society. The work is a testament to his ability to channel outrage and pain into a piece of art that transcends time and place. Guernica remains one of the greatest achievements of 20th century art and an enduring representation of human resilience in the face of barbarism. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Give it a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with your friends and family.